Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM and AM 630.
WMAL. 7:07 on the Morning Majority. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham here. I've often toyed with the idea of taking my own tent out to the Occupy crowds. The stench deters me a bit.
The rats.
But I think it would be an interesting social experience. It turns out that Dave Almasi of a conservative group in Washington is occupying Occupy DC. How's it going, David?
Doing well, thank you.
Hey, tell me about your little experiment, how it sort of came to be.
Well, after the people at Occupy DC down at Freedom Plaza essentially were given a permit by the Park Service in exchange for, in my opinion, not causing trouble, we decided to legally apply for a permit. Went through the process, met with the officials, and they gave us a permit to occupy Freedom Plaza, a third of it from as of this past Sunday through the Ides of March. So we're planning on going back pretty much every weekday doing something to occupy DC's territory, and that started yesterday with a rally at Freedom Plaza.
How difficult was it to get that permit? I mean, did you have to explain to them what exactly you were hoping to accomplish with your protest?
Yeah, I mean, just to go through a permit to get something like that, you have to sit down with Metropolitan DC Police, you have to meet with the Park Service people, their police force, and tell them what you're planning on doing. And it could, depending on how big your rally is, and you have to think of logistical things like bathrooms and crowd control and things like that. And our permit's only for a maximum of 100 people per day, but that's nothing that the Occupy DC people went through or had to take care of. And as far as I know, a lot of the stuff that is being provided for them is being paid for by the city. And Mayor Gray a couple months ago said that they wanted the federal government to kick in because there were no provisions taken to figure this out beforehand.
Yeah, I figured out that it had already cost them like $1.6 million.
Exactly, and so, but we went through the regular process, and we're trying to get the smallest carbon footprint, so to speak, possible to bring a free market message to a park that sorely needs it.
So let me get this right. You're just going down and doing something every day. You're not actually trying to do a 24-hour vigil.
No, we're only going to be there we have a permit from 11 to 2 every day. We're only going to go usually for the noontime hour. And like I said, yesterday we had a small rally where we had speakers and actually had a good portion of the people that were at Freedom Plaza at the time on the Occupy side come over and listen to our speakers.
Well, how did that go? I was kind of curious about that.
For being bitter cold, it went pretty well.
No, I mean, for being
group.
Bitter people, how did they react to you?
Actually, we tried to point out places where we had agreements. Things like we're both against the bailout, we're both against crony capitalism, why aren't we working together on some of these things? And obviously we disagree on taxes, we disagree on the size of government, but we did find some people, actually some of the McPherson Square people that had come over, actually were amenable and very respectful of our right to speak yesterday. So we're very happy about that.
Are you winning any converts?
We'll see over time. We've got until March 15th.
And why did you decide to follow the rules for the permitting procedure? I mean, theoretically, it looks like you can just go up there and set up camp.
Some of the people from the Occupy, the permanent residents, were inviting us to come over and pitch a tent with them. But we're conservatives. We obey the rule of law. And being conservatives, I imagine the law will crack down on us before it cracks down on them. So we want to play by the rules naturally. That's our instinct.
We're talking with David Almasi, who's Executive Director of the National Center for Public Policy Research, and his group is occupying the Occupy protest down at Freedom Plaza. Is that Freedom Plaza and McPherson Square?
No, just Freedom Plaza,
okay.
And on the third that's closest to the Capitol is where we're allowed to gather. Did
you have to pay anything in the form of fees or upfront money in order to get this permit?
No, we don't, but we would incur some costs. As I was saying, if we had a bigger crowd, because there are certain things that the Park Service requires, that if you're going to have a certain amount of people, you're going to have a certain amount of porta potties or things like that to take care of them. And if it gets to be we were told if we wanted to solicit donations, it would cost us money to have an officer to guard the money while we were there and make sure that no one was pocketing the money or anything like that. So there are costs depending on what you do, but we're doing it from a very bare bones level.
Did you have to sign a contract or anything? Did you have to show a driver's identification? I'm very curious about the permit process and how it all works.
I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know exactly, but we were issued a permit by the Park Service that we have to carry with us at all times. It doesn't have any signatures from us, but it does from them.
The Occupy kid's generally considered largely left of center, Barack Obama supporters, but he's certainly no enemy of crony capitalism, which is one of their big issues. Did you find you had a receptive ear on that particular issue?
Well, the people there were kind of like James Dean. You ask them what their problem is, they say, what do you got? They weren't happy with Obama either because he wasn't, in many of their opinions, as far left as they needed. Right. So he's more likely, I'd imagine that they'll vote for him if they have IDs and can get the polls. But they didn't seem to be quite excited about what's going on at the White House.
Now, I'm reading a story here that says that the Occupods taught you how to do the mic check, the call and response.
Well, we had Steven Crowder, a conservative comedian, who started out doing a mic check, and he was using our bullhorn, and they told him, it's like, no, you can't use a bullhorn for a mic check. You got to just use your voice, and so we had a little mic check at the beginning.
It's so kumbaya. I'm really enjoying this.
So how did the mic check go on the conservative side?
Oh, I think it went well. I mean, there's a good rapport that we had with them, and so we were needling them on the mic check stuff, and they were needling us back on the fact that we didn't quite know how to do it. But no, it went well, and we're going to put videos of what happened up online. Okay. Hopefully.
I'm glad to hear that it went well and there was no animosity between the two groups. But was there an extra police presence there because they knew that you were going to be there and sharing the land with the Occupies?
They did have a van with 5 officers in it and a couple cars parked in the area. But I would hope that they'd see that we really don't need them right now, but should things get heated, I mean, we're certainly happy to have the Park Service's protection and know that they're around, and we're going to be back there today with a little Valentine's Day stunt. So. Oh,
really? You want to give us a little preview?
Sure. Well, today's going to be a small one. We're just going to send a couple people out there with giving out Valentine's Day treats. Anyone that wants to come by, package candies and signs that show that things like higher taxes are going to give us a heart attack.
Now, you have to make sure that everybody gets the same exact amount of candy. All right?
No.
We'll try and do that.
No, you take the candy that the wealthy people have and you redistribute it to the poor people so that the wealthy have to give up more.
I just don't want anybody to get a king-size Snickers bar and somebody get the little miniature ones.
They're all about
that
the
wouldn't
same.
be right.
All right, David, good to have you on the show. We